we can't address what the matter is with society unless we understand what the matter is with our minds. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Faith and Reason, a week of considerable change, both in the church and at LifeSite News. There's a statement online which explains that for you now, and I'm sure that you can all agree that there has been some considerable changes since we last spoke to you. Today, it's just me and Father Mayor, and so I'd like to ask you, Father, if you could start us off with a prayer, please.
Absolutely. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Well, Father, thank you for that. But, well, I suppose we should get straight down to the facts, really, is that there's been several things that have happened since we've last been on the air. I think most notably, the announcement that the final implementation phase of the Synod and Synodality is to be taking place, which I think came out the day before yesterday in a statement by the Vatican and Synod.va. In addition to this, we've seen a new Mass introduced called the Mass for the Care of Creation. And of course, there are still developments about the issues surrounding Traditionis Custodes following the revelations made in the Montaigne article. Now, once we've got through all that, I'd hopefully like to end upon a rather more positive note this week, telling you about how I think we should always recall the social teachings of Leo XIV's namesake predecessor, which I believe are obviously the wellspring of our entire civilization, and which the Church could always return to in order to restore our modern world from its current crisis. So welcome again, Father. And by the way, have you seen anything about this Mass for the Care of Creation?
I have, first of all, for our listeners, it's not really a new Mass. Okay, it's not a new Mass in the sense of the new Mass that came out of Vatican II. It's not a new Mass in that sense. It's a Mass that is but probably the best way to describe it to priests or deacons or those who are familiar with liturgical matters would be a votive Mass. For example, a votive Mass of the Sacred Heart of Mary, or the Immaculate Heart of Mary, the Sacred Heart of Jesus. A votive Mass. That is, and also the readings and the prayers that are in the Mass, whether it be the collect, the offertory, the communion, what have you, are geared toward that theme, toward one thing. So in the sense, it's not a new Mass, but it's a Mass that shows concern for where the world is and what state the world is in. And I think the idea is certainly to pray to God, but also to make us aware of, I guess, our responsibilities toward the world that we live in, that we care for it, that we that we show respect for where we're living. Look, I mean, I'll give you just an example, something that bothers me often. I live out in the country, beautiful Spanish countryside. There are people who decide that this is where along my road is where they're going to throw their garbage. Right? It's a small thing, and I live with it. And at times I get so ambitious that I go pick it up and put it in another plastic bag. However, the point is, there's a disrespect for nature. There's a disrespect for where we're living, and I think it would be good to reflect a little bit on that and see what we can do to become better human beings and more responsible for the place we live.
I'm certainly welcome to the idea that we should consider the importance of small things, being one myself. But in the past, I've also taken to task the problem of, shall we say, habitual litterers. And once the PTSD flashes of vivid retribution departed me, I came to the philosophical conclusion that there are people who drop litter, and then there are people that pick it up. And that is the path that I chose to take on that matter. But
there are two kinds of human beings, is that it?
Well, I did notice this. Let's say it was not a simple and entirely tranquil journey that I undertook from witnessing the willful littering of the beautiful environment to that conclusion. But that's where I ended up in the end, and not in jail. Although along the way, I did consider reintroducing the gibbet to display the remains of those who'd been caught in the act of willful littering. But that's one of my many suggestions that has routinely led to the suggestion box being removed after I put them in it.
You have a lot of uses for that.
Usually when I do offer suggestions, the suggestion box mysteriously vanishes forever afterwards. But unfortunately, that's the case. So, I mean, what are we to make of this votive mass for the care of creation then? You think it's a good thing generally, Father?
Look, as far as I'm concerned, I don't ever see myself offering it. I offer my daily mass is the Latin Tridentine Mass. Period.
You don't you're not much of a tree hugger?
No, but I was asked by somebody just the other day whether this new mass could be said ad orientem with the priest back toward the people, and I said yes, only if there's a tree in front of it.
ad arboretum. Well, quite possibly. We live in interesting times. I mean, I've seen quite a lot of tree-themed messaging, to be honest. The other day when I saw Cardinal Go's statement about embracing the necessity of embracing change, talking about, if you like, a trailer for the new synodal announcement, that was advertised with a tree as well. So there's quite a lot of tree themes coming out at the moment. So it's cognate with that.
Don't you find, though, that quote of G.K. Chesterton ever more relevant? He said, when a man stops believing in God, it's not that he stops believing in everything. It's that now he's disposed to believe anything. And I think the more that there's got to be a balance. There's got to be a balance. Of course, we have a responsibility toward the world we live in, toward the earth and everything. Okay, fine. But there has to be a balance, because if it's only that, if that's all consuming, that is replacing God. And that's not what this is all about. It's to take consciousness of where we're living and the responsibilities we have toward keeping it clean, keeping energy clean, not polluting rivers, oceans. I mean, look, I'm no tree hugger at all, but when I see the plastic that's floating around in our oceans, that's actually forming islands in the Pacific of plastic, yeah, that's discouraging. That's very discouraging. And I think maybe if it awakens a consciousness of where we live and that we have a responsibility to maintain it and maintain it well and clean, I think that's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
You began that interesting peroration, Father, and you always are worth listening to.
Isn't it amazing? Sooner or later, I sound interesting.
but I mean, look, it's difficult to compliment you because you so easily best me. But the fact of the matter is that people miss you terribly when you're not here, and it's for little apostles like that they treasure you.
I miss not being here. The times that I've missed. This is. It's funny how things can become part of your life, and people can become part of your life so easily. And then all of a sudden, there were a few weeks for health reasons and what have you, I was away, and I missed being here. I missed sharing my opinion. I miss forcing you to listen to me.
Some of us like being forced to listen to you anyway. I mean, I certainly do. Maybe people don't like so much being forced to listen to me, but they certainly tell me that they miss you.
Oh, they do, Frank. I'm going to tell people, I'm going to say this to our audience. Not so long ago, I had a question, a scientific question, actually, or a technological question, I guess would be better. And I contacted you. And we spoke for a while over the phone. You explained something to me. You explained artificial intelligence is actually what the call was about. You explained it in a way that was almost perfect. Almost perfect. I actually understood what it is and what the problems with it are. I did not understand that before our telephone call. It's like Fulton J. Sheen. He could take the most complex matters in philosophy or theology or psychology for that matter, and sort of pre-digest them and give them to you in a way that was so easy to understand and so refreshing. You have that talent. Muzzle tov. A blessing on your head.
What can I say? I simply repeat what the voices tell me. What you said earlier on about basically reduces to incoherence, what you said about meaning, and what you said about when do people stop believing in God? They start to believe in anything. People think that that's just a kind of trite, clever little aphorism that comes
Oh
from.
no! Oh no! No!
No,
No!
no, no. What this has led to, if you like, in the kind of uncommon parlance of people who read about the theory of knowledge, is what you might call decoherence, or things like epistemic violence is one thing they also say. What this means is decoherence means is that once you depart from God and you depart from the natural order and the natural justice and the truth of the matter, and the correspondence of descriptions to facts and actions, which is obviously the basis of the philosophy of St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas. Once you depart from that, then things become incoherent. And then you start to engage in a process of what's called decoherence, which is where everything that you do, all your descriptions of the world, naturally depart from reality, and they actually do violence to it in a way. They do violence to meaning, and that's called epistemic violence, because epistemology is the theory of knowledge. So you find that you're in a situation where you're permanently confused, where you are politically and socially obliged to participate in incoherent meanings, in the replacement of meaning and order with chaos and confusion. Otherwise, you might find that you're removed from your job, that you can't access your bank account, that you're permanently excluded from your career or your society, or that you're some way penalized. Now, everybody knows this, that to some degree, this is what's going on, that you have to align yourself with what you might call corrupted knowledge or anti-knowledge. I'd say that this is an entirely counter-civilizational current, and this is the reason why I go on so much about the Catholic social teaching, because in the first encyclical, there were 9 Aeterni Patris. What's stressed there is the basis of the theory of knowledge. How do we know what's true? How do we know what reality is? And we can't address what the matter is with society unless we understand what the matter is with our minds. And from that foundation, the encyclical...
Very good starting point, right?
That's the wisdom of Leo XIII, right? When you compare it to things that are said in the modern age, it has a superior explanatory power. It's coherent. People without a specialist knowledge can understand it. It is luminously true, but it also has a civilizational significance. It's not just for the moment. It doesn't just flatter one faction or another. It's non-political. It makes expressly clear that the church can accommodate itself with whichever political system is in existence, as long as it allows the church to conduct its chief business, which is the salvation of souls. But it says that the basis of reality is the theory of knowledge that reflects the order of God and his truth.
May I underscore a word that you're using? Reality. This is where we're having an awful lot of difficulty, not just today, but I would say for the last 30, 40 years, certainly for the last 40 years of my life since I was in college. Reality. And now people can see one thing and say another thing. We've got to the point of looking at something and finding reality unreal. We've actually gotten to this point where you can look at it. You can look at a man and say a woman. You can look at a woman and call her a man. There's something very, very wrong with our perception of reality. We've lost reality. And we've lost reality because in a great sense, we've lost God, or am I wrong?
And of course, if you're a member of the reality-based community, you're a dangerous extremist.
Exactly.
There is nothing more controversial these days than to state the obvious.
Than to state the real, yes. Yeah,
state the obvious, you might go to jail. I mean, like, for example, in England, right, which is probably a terrible example for anything nowadays, but nonetheless, for centuries, for time out of mind, it has been a staple around Christmas time to go to the pantomime and laugh at a woman in a dress. But nowadays, if you laugh at Widow Twankey, you can be arrested. There's nothing more serious than a man in a wig these days, of course. And so, this is what you might call, you can call that moral inversion, but it's deeper than turning vice into virtue. It is an attack on the idea of facticity, the idea that there can be facts, and it's an attack on the nature of reality. And it means that meaning is replaced with incoherence. And so we simply can't trust our own senses anymore. And so you're liable to believe in anything. So, put your headphones in and find something on the internet that flatters your desires at that moment. This leads people into an atomized society where there's nothing connecting us at all, other than the fact that we're all chasing our consumer desires, and we're all being turned into a product of that system, where the value of human life is replaced with price.
And it's happening. It's certainly happening.
The real problem here is that, that for some reason, the Vatican refuses to teach the social teachings that really can restore and renew our civilization, because it is the Catholic Church which is the source of what we call European and Western civilization from the 9th and 11th centuries. It is the wellspring of it. And there isn't any civilization with it, because It doesn't matter how many roads you build or power stations you build or how much prosperity you create. None of that can supply meaning. And it can't repair the injury done to the truth by a century of the refinement of technique of controlling people by incoherence and by making them incapable of knowing what reality is.
Yes, I agree. And it's what particularly caught my attention when I began to study. I went to Rome to study logic. I wanted to be a lawyer. And I've told you this, all of the friends of my father who were lawyers, Catholic lawyers, all of them had a degree in philosophy before they went into law school. This was just, it was de rigueur. But when I started studying philosophy and started studying Thomistic philosophy, I deal a little bit with, I like some aspects of phenomenology, but I'm very careful. Yes.
Body retro satana. I hate Jean-Paul Sartre. I hate Maurice Merleau-Ponty.
Oh, no. I despise them too. But there are some Christian existentialists who are wonderful. Nadon Sell, for one, Marcel, etc. Anyway, but getting back to it, I found Thomas Aquinas refreshing. I didn't find him stale, old, and of centuries past, and a dead thing to be buried. I found him absolutely refreshing because he deals so cleverly and wisely with reality. It's just reality he's dealing with.
The issue that I think that we really should stress in times of confusion is that there really is no need to despair. You shouldn't despair, of course. Despair is a sin for very good reason. If you do read the magisterium of the church, such as I would suggest you do, the very readable and excellent social teachings of Leo XIII, you'll come across remarkable statements such as the fact of human inequality and the fact that when we depart from the natural order that's been ordained by God, the natural result is confusion. The church has the answers to the crisis in the modern world if it would but teach them. And I think you and I are in agreement on that, are we, Father?
Not so long ago, I said to a group of people who were here visiting me, young people, that no one is equal to anyone. They were shocked. We're all equal. I said, absolutely not. There's nothing equal about any of us. What are you talking about? But I got them laughing a little bit. And this is another thing this is another thing that's really missing. And I see it missing in the atheists, and I see it missing as atheism is embraced more and more and more by our society. There's a lack of humor also. There's a lack of, it's not just humor, it's the inability to smile, inability to enjoy, inability to enjoy people, to enjoy thoughts, to enjoy ideas. It's just not there. Everything is dead serious.
Atheism isn't just cringe, it's boring as well. I've got to point out this fact, right? The atheists, the liberal atheists, are the people that will come along and tell you about this false cult of equality, like human equality leveling us all out into nothing, like John Rawls's idea of man without qualities and so on. They'll tell you that we're all equal, but at the same time, they'll promote an economic model of life that completely destroys the actual basis of the value of human life, its dignity, its God-given essential value of life. They don't recognize that at all. And they'll happily murder you if you're, pre-born or you're a bit too inconveniently elderly, or if you're mentally ill or sick or vulnerable. They'll just wipe you out. And that's fine because they believe in equality. What kind of equality is that? You're given the equal opportunity to dissolve yourself in desire for your entire life and then to be bumped off when they think that you're useless.
It's only equality in that some think that would call death the ultimate equalizer. Yes, that's about it. That's where the equality goes.
Father Murr with the jolly conclusions as ever.
You're too much.
You've certainly brought a smile to my place. Speaking about death, my so-called laughable career has been an exercise in attempting to kill it entirely, and so if I haven't succeeded this week, I probably will next week. So thank you once again, Father, for colluding in the assisted suicide of my hope of remaining employed in any capacity.
You're too much. You're too much. God love you, Frank. And God love our listeners. Thank you.
Yes, and God bless you all. And please don't despair. There certainly is. The rescue of our civilization lies in the teachings of the church. And I believe it will be simply a matter of time before it picks them up and uses them. God bless you all.
I believe that also. I believe that also. I really do.
Bye-bye for now.
Aloha everyone, this is Jason Jones for LifeSide News. We hope you enjoyed this video. For more content like this, check the link in the description. You can also connect with us on social media to stay up to date with the latest news on life, faith, family, and freedom. Thanks for watching, and may God bless you.